break. And as I had started to say, I had put together the timeline that you see in your packet about all that has occurred over the past couple of years, but primarily starting with September 2020, with regard to community power, all the legislative initiatives and how that's changed, what communities can and cannot do. And I wanted to put this in black and white so everybody had the same information. And where we're at now is in September, or October, I should say, of 2020, the council chose to form an electric aggregation committee, which it was allowed to do through a change in the law that allowed councils to make the choice of whether they wanted to do that. And the committee was charged with making recommendations for or against the city's participation in an electric aggregation plan. And to develop, and if the council wanted to go in that direction, to do the work of developing a municipal aggregation plan itself in accordance with RSA 53-E:6. So we tried for about a year to get people to sit on the electric aggregation committee, which became a subcommittee of the Energy Advisory Committee. And we didn't get there. It's got 5 seats to it. We didn't get the third person until September, I believe, of this year. So November, we started meeting. In fact, we had our first meeting on November 8th. And it was a very productive meeting. It's myself, Rebecca McKenzie, and Jessica Ball. And basically, we've mapped out, the 3 approaches that we could have to electric aggregation. And then we established what our comparative criteria would be. And then we have to reach out to these 3 entities to get those specifics. And then it's our plan, in accordance to how we were set up, to bring back a recommendation to the Energy Advisory Committee, which is the overarching committee, and then they would bring that back to the council for consideration. So Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire is one of the 3 approaches. And what you have in your packet, in addition to that timeline, is the JPA, the Joint Powers of Agreement. And you can see the list of all of the cities and towns. I think there's a county too. Yep. Involved with this. And it is true that the council tonight, if it so chose, could vote to move forward with joining this coalition. If the council did, they would have to commit someone to be a member of the board of directors as well as an alternate. And at this point in time, we're being told there's no cost to joining the coalition. However, if you go through all of the documentation, should the savings not be what people hope, there is the possibility that there would be a cost to the city, and it would be shared among the members of the coalition. But I can tell you at this point in time, the Electric Aggregation Committee has not had an opportunity to really delve into what our recommendations would be at this point in time to the council. Councilor Mata.
So I would be in favor of letting the committee continue its work, because I'm not ready at this point to dive into something that could potentially cost the city money, because there's too many unknowns yet. Mm-hmm. Do you have a potential timeline of when you think? Okay.
Good question. So what we're shooting for is to have a preliminary recommendation to give to the EAC, the Energy Advisory Committee, by the end of the year. We think we can do that. And then it's the job of the EAC to bring it to the council for consideration. Now, we're not going to have all of the details, but we would have a preliminary recommendation, a direction we think we should go from a committee's perspective, but ultimately it'll be the council's job to decide.
I'm good
which
with
way.
letting that play out at this point.
Mr. Morris?
Yeah, I would just add to that a little bit, just a reminder that the city staff continues to attend some of these meetings and work with Henry Hendon and the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire. I just attended a meeting myself last week when they were talking about putting together the rules that they're planning on presenting to the PUC. So, I mean, that process still has to work out. There's a long way to go. There's no real rush to be in this, to be, we're not going to miss the boat, if you will, that, they're hoping that one or two of these communities will be moving into community power aggregation by the end of next year.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have a little bit of time to watch this. The staff continues to watch it. I did read through a lot of the joint powers agreement as well, looking at it, and the cost sharing aspect did jump out at me, that there's a possibility if there was some cost to come up that we would be in a position to do that. And no matter what our decision is on community power, we have those decisions to make on, do we want to join the Community Power Coalition, or do we want to go with another consulting firm or another company to go in a different direction? I know the city of Keene is going in that direction themselves. They're working with a consultant to do this. So there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of things to continue researching. I think we need to watch this carefully and move forward when the time is right.
Mm-hmm. Councilor Stone.
Is this something we could get a brief update on the next meeting in December?
A brief update on the committee's work? Is that what you're? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've met in November. We're scheduled to meet again November 29th, I believe. And then we meet December 8th. And I think we meet again after the council meeting. So we'll have one more meeting, but I can certainly give you a preliminary report about what our plan of action is.
That'd be great.
Okay. Councilor Gerard and then Assistant Mayor Dam.
I definitely look to hear from the Electrical Aggregation Committee on what their approach is with this. I'm definitely hopeful that you guys can come up with something before the end of the year, because as you know, and bless you, are willing to apply for citizen seats so we can have 3 people still. Come January, we're going to be short of our quorum.
That's my intention. We can't
Excellent.
get all of the work done.
At this point, like I said, I know I've reached out to a few people that are involved in some of the other communities, and they see a lot of positives in this. And I'm hoping that we'll hear something back so we can start to make an approach to this.
Okay. Assistant Mayor Dam.
Yeah, just an observation, and maybe I'm looking at this all wrong. The way I'm looking at it is the only difference between this and what had in years past been discussed as municipalization by a community is that here it's being spread out to a much larger base with aggregation. So some of that is being diluted. I would be very curious to know as time goes on, and this isn't cast in stone for anything in December, but being a utility would open us up to meter reading, purchase power, hearings before all of the other regulatory stuff that come with it. And I'm not sure that we're ready to do that. But that's doesn't stand in the way of at least going ahead a little further to be exploring everything. And if there is a way to do it, that's fine.
So there's a lot to delve into, but I will do that on December 8th. What's our next? We have where's my paper? Put that on the agenda for December 8th, right? Just an update under committee reports. Okay. Anything else? Okay.